Hello, my name is Dan Johnson and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a room tour. I've been meaning to do one of these for quite a while, and I've finally just got round to doing it. I've done like 3 versions of it now, and each time I've done it, the first one was a mess because of the way I filmed it. I didn't have a microphone or a camera that could actually record audio with it, so I had to record the audio separately. So I had lots of files of audio, lots of camera files. For some reason I did it all on tripods, so I moved the tripod around my room constantly. It took hours to film. And there were jokes, and obviously the jokes got cut because the jokes were terrible. So I ended up with a very weird looking video, so I just scrapped it, started again. Second time, it was just bad, and it was outdated by the time I actually came to edit it. So I decided that that was going to get scrapped as well. So today, attempt 3, we're going to do it properly and show you around my room. It's something that I don't normally do. I've never done any of these before, and in many years. But I'm going to be showing you around. I'm going to be talking about the items that I have, and maybe even some stories behind each one. Behind some of them, if each one will be here forever. But it should be good for you to see what I have outside of what you see within the camera, if that makes sense. So we'll get on with it. We start off in this corner. Now these have been up here for years, but first, at top of the door, we have the 10th series art cards. They're quite nice. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for these. I think one of the first ones I got were these, and I just think they look great. So I've had them up there for a long time. And then we have Ant-Man and the Wasp and Black Panther, and the second one from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and a little Radio Times thing I found one day. Aquaman, we'll just move past that because I didn't actually like Aquaman now that I've seen it a few times. Kingsman, one of my favourite films. Radio Times, Far From Home. There was the figure collection card that I got one day that came with one of the figures, which is quite cool. And then we have Revolution of the Daleks, a Stormtrooper that I painted. It looks very effective from far away, and it looks quite effective on the camera. But if you do get too close, you can see the marks of where the painting has gone a bit wrong, and all kinds of stuff like that. And Avengers Infinity War along the top, Endgame down here, more Doctor Who, Series 2, Series 5, and Series 10. Scroll down then. The cool thing about Series 10 is that they're 3D and they move along, which is nice. And if you catch it in the wrong angle, you get half Bill, half Cyberman, which is a bit weird. Then you have some frames for Sacha Dhawan, which I put up there now. Love that autograph. I just think that the photo and the pen on it just looks amazing. Sacha Dhawan is an amazing actor, not just in Doctor Who, but in Iron Fist. He was like the best bit of that. And out of all of the people that have played the Master, I'd really actually like to meet him more than the others. Then we have David Tennant's autograph. Now I've never met David Tennant, I'm afraid, but this is this is an authentic autograph because it has a certificate of authentication in the back of the frame. And I was bought this for a birthday once or Christmas, and I just adore it. I just think that's such a cool thing for me to own. As such a big fan of the 10th Doctor as I am. And then along the top, I forgot about something, but along the top we have cards from Series 11 and Series 12. I've ordered them like this because I'm not quite sure how to order them, to be honest, but I kind of went with, okay, so we'll have Brad and Jodie on that side, Mandip and Tosin on this side, but I've kind of got the order a bit messed up because they're touching each other on that side, but I put them up in a bit of a rush, so eventually, let's step back a minute, this entire section will be organised a little bit better, because as you can tell, there's a lot of clutter, I suppose, here, and I'd quite like to get rid of that in time. For me, at the minute, I was obsessed for a little while with getting autographs from toy fairs, basically, and like this one here, this one for Alec Guinness, but of course it's a print, and with the Peter Capaldi one, I believe it is, you can obviously tell that it's a print because he's missed like the bit of the P. 1 second, missed a bit of a P in his name. Yeah, so I'll probably take these down, organise it a bit better, but that is for another day. Some things I haven't showed you yet is the Sylvester McCoy autograph, part of the Time Meddlers events that they've done. I got Sacha Dhawan at on the second one, and then this was the first one that I did. They did one for Mandip Gill as well, but I didn't get that one. What a cool autograph to have. What a cool character as well. Not just in the show, just in life in general. And then we have this very cool thing I got for last Christmas now. And that is the sort of doctors all lined up. Here, I think that's an amazing frame. You can see it at the back of my videos, but I don't think I give it enough airtime, I suppose. But if I can get it to focus. I mean, this is just amazingly drawn. I believe you can get it from Etsy, and it's called the Armchair Artist. If you're looking for it, I don't know if it came framed because it was a present, but very, very cool piece of art. I just like staring at it from time to time. Down below we have this very weird oddity. Now this is from the first Avengers film. And it's weird because this is like a film trim from one of the scenes, and I believe it's the scene when Tony Stark saying that everything you are came out of a bottle, and this is Steve's reaction. And my dad fitted it with a light at the back so that you can see the frame itself, which is pretty cool. And then this poster. We'll just take a look at this poster, because the more I've thought about this poster, I've realised how wrong it is. Hawkeye has developed some kind of mask. The Hulk is wrong. Black Widow's from Iron Man 2. Thor's wrong, and all of that. So it's quite a weird poster. It's clearly a fan-made poster. But that's a pretty cool item. Down below I have my tripods. I have two tripods, one for the light and one for the camera. As you can tell, I'm quite vicious with them because I like to sort of throw them around when I'm setting up. So I've kind of always scratching them against the wall, which I probably shouldn't be doing. But we'll move on with the Regeneration box set. Lovely box set, the Regeneration box set. I did an unboxing of it when it came out. When I received it, because I bought it on eBay. But it's a lovely set. A lot of people get it signed. I'd love to be able to do that one day, because it is just a lovely, well-made book. Then if we come down, we have my first shelf, which is Doctor Who books, obviously. There's a few other things, but we'll just talk about the Doctor Who mostly. So there's a few Target books there. That is most of my collection. There's one more that we will see later, but they are all Target books. Then we have Torchwood, and I've got one book of that. A series of Doctor Who ones, hardbacks and paperbacks and all types of stuff. The Legacy of Time, the Darksmith Legacy. The Darksmith Legacy was a book book series, 10 books here, that I was bought as a child, very young. A kind of school fair kind of thing, because I couldn't read when I was younger at all. I'm not very strong at reading, but I couldn't read. So they thought that the best way to get me interested into reading would be to get Doctor Who books. And because, that one, there you go, that's what the first one looked like. Because I couldn't read these ones, because the writing was too small, I wasn't developed enough to write them, because these are more like teen sort of novels, I suppose. They're not really for children, and because I was struggling to take anything in reading wise, there's a bag or something there. I would read these, and there's the Hand of Fear. I imagine that's a reference. But yeah, I never actually got any further, I kid you not, than book 4. Maybe one day I will, because I am curious what the story is, because I always read the first book, and I believe I got to book 4, because I remember I was definitely on to book 2. But I can't remember anything that happens. So maybe one day I will read them. Again, Tunnel Victorious, some 11th Doctor ones, some 12th 8th Doctor one 12th Doctor one. I'm afraid that that's all I have in terms of the 12th Doctor. It's called the Blood Cell. I wasn't really a big fan of it, I suppose, and it kind of put me off. The Good Doctor, the Molten Heart, and Combat Magic, 13th Doctor books. Now, and many people have said that they weren't a fan of the 13th Doctor's companions and stuff like that because they never really got enough to do within the story. In this one, in all three books, in fact, I think they've all been given things to do, and it's actually made me like the characters more because they felt like rounded characters instead of like being in the show. But so if you're interested in maybe giving the 13th Doctor's companions a bit more of a chance, if I had to choose one, I would choose this one as a recommendation because the Good Doctor here has some really interesting ideas behind it. So that is my favourite of the three. There's a few more books that I'd like to get, to be honest. There's the one with Camelot and the 10th Doctor. That sounds very interesting. I'd love to be able to get that at some point. And I imagine that there'll be some more 13th Doctor books coming at some point as well. They seem to have been focusing a lot more on comics recently than books, I've noticed, but never mind. The Hobbit, a book I still haven't finished. Every year or so, or every time I watch these films, I get to the point where I'm like, I'm going to read the book. I'm going to do it properly this time. Each time, I don't always start from the beginning, but last time I read it, I got up to sort of Riddles in the Dark, like the end of the first film. No, I got further. I was out of the frying pan into the fire. The last fight of the first film. Then you have 2 books about drawing that my granddad gave me, and then a whole bunch of just little CD things. Now these are giveaways. So this one's a giveaway called Walking with Beasts because I had a bit of an obsession with dinosaurs when I was a child. There's also some classic Doctor Who ones in here, Day of Armageddon, for example. But this one here was actually my first time that I watched a classic Doctor Who episode, which was Earthshock Part 1. I mentioned it quite a few times, but I watched Part 1 and I didn't see the rest of the story for many years to come. But yeah, I always found the aesthetic of Earthshock quite interesting because I perceived it through my younger eyes instead of my older ones, if that makes sense. Like, because I'm so used to what Classic Who looks like now, it doesn't bother me. But with the Earthshock, it's got a special place in my heart, as it does with many people, to be honest. And then if we hold that back in, we have the last autograph that I have on this shelf that I took down, which is Daisy Ridley, and this one's really bad. You can see the pixelation on it. Need to do something with them, to be honest. And then we have just a collection of Vortex magazines in this corner. I'll just point out that the one ring here, this is like a prop replica, pretty cool item, comes with the chain. Bought it in York a couple of years ago on a holiday. But just one of those items that I have that I think is just really, really cool. Above it is a bunch of sort of steelbook covers, the Blu-ray covers, which is used as like protective shielding for them because they get damaged and stuff. So they're very useful. I do recommend them. But we start off with the first series as the big sort of TARDIS box set thing. That's a very cool, bizarre item. Very cheap, surprisingly, depending on because of its size. I thought it'd be a bit more expensive, but it was very cheap. I got it for like under £10. Then we have the first series, the second series, the third series. Oh no, we don't. We have the first series, the second series, the second series again. It's a different version. Because I had a bit of an obsession with them for a little while, but the different versions of box sets, and I was curious what the differences actually were. So I did buy a second one that I was in Kex or something one day, and saw that there was a second one. It looked different to the one I owned, so I bought it to find out, and it was a different version. Interestingly enough, must have been that one. That is the one I was interested in and bought because it looked more like on the style that of the Series 1 one. Then here was Series 2, which had the back like that. So it was very, very bizarre. Then we have The Runaway Bride, Series 3, Voyage of the Damned, Series 4, lovely box set, Series 4, the specials, the complete specials on a thinner case, limited edition steel version of Series 5, that's just in the DVD though. Series 5 without a slipcover. A Christmas Carol. Series 6 without a slipcover. Series 6 on Blu-ray. Really made me appreciate Series 6, that Blu-ray, because I was so captivated by having those stories that I've never seen before that I've seen before, but I've never seen them in Blu-ray definition. And for me, that made me more interested in watching it. So I watched it right through, didn't skip any episodes, and overall just found the series quite enjoyable. It's not really a series I jump to very often, to be honest. Series 7 then and then Day of the Doctor, Time of the Doctor, the 8th series, Return of Doctor Mysterio, Series 10, they're rounding off the shelf. Down on the bottom shelf, we'll go along this quickly. We just have a bunch of books that were just too big to fit in the other shelves. So, these time travel books, which are basically pop-up books, things I don't actually read anymore. But there's also a bunch of comics down there. You can see there's some Walking Dead, Umbrella Academy, Logan, Old Man Logan, the thing that the film is based off, the Infinity Gauntlet, Flashpoint, and then we go on to my records. Now, my dad, back in the 80s, if not 90s, had a lot of music on records. So there's Phil Collins' album, it's got a few Queens, a bit of ELO, Beatles, whatever that is, I don't know, but I've been kind of discovering them sort of one by one. Some space sound effects there, a bit of Spandau Ballet there, but I've just been experiencing them from time to time. And my granddad had records as well, but these were much older. These were like, here's one of them actually on the side, about, it's like Showtown, blues and very strange sort of stuff for me to listen to now. And then I bought myself the Baby Driver soundtrack, because I'm a big fan of Baby Driver. So I bought that soundtrack. That's a lovely soundtrack. And then we have the final thing here at the end of this shelf. In front of more comics, they're Spider-Man comics, all of them, by the way. There's a few Doctor Who ones at the end, but most of them are Spider-Man comics. Because I had a bit of a thing in maybe 2019, 2018, but buying Spider-Man comics. So I would buy quite regularly them from the newsagents. I think they came out like once every 2 weeks or something, and they were about £4, and then they've begun to rise because of Brexit, really. Which is a shame. So they just became a little bit more expensive, and I started falling behind in them. So when something ended, when a series ended, I stopped buying them, basically, because they were just getting a bit of a nuisance, I suppose, to keep buying. It's something that you didn't need. But then the final thing is this Cyberhead thing. Very cool item. Relatively cheap, but it's just the box set of Series 2 in the Cyberman box. It has a slightly different Cyberman back, but I'm not sure what was really happening in 2006 with marketing. But if they put something like that on now, it would be a joke because of how silly that looks. But back then, maybe they would have got away with it. Then we come on to the main shelf, I suppose. This is the shelf that you see in like all of the videos. We have a Dan Starkey autograph. I've met him at a local sort of thing. They don't tend to bring people. People don't tend to come down here. But luckily he decided to, and he was the first person in Doctor Who I've met. And it was a very cool day. There was an Earthshock Cyberman and Cyber Shades, and I went with someone from school called Joey, and he knew exactly what he was doing, so he kind of put me at ease because I was a bit confused. And then we have my sort of figures for Doctor Who here. Well, this is the main shelf. There's some Daleks, an Imperial Dalek there, Davros, my TARDISes, the First Doctor, the 12th Doctor, Second Doctor there in the coat from the Abominable Snowmen. Then we have the Infinity or the Nano Gauntlet the Race for Life that I ran about a month ago. Then we have this item. This is pretty cool. This is a signed DVD that was listed. Let me get it focused. Let me get it to focus. A signed DVD that was listed as David Tennant, and nobody was buying it because they thought, well, that's not David Tennant's signature. But I thought, why would somebody go onto the internet, fake David Tennant's signature, but then not have it look anything like David Tennant's signature? So I bought it for like £2. And I was told by the Geek's Handbag that that's actually Billy Piper's signature, or possibly could be. And it's not a print, so that might have been inadvertently a very, very cool move for me, and a really, really bad move for whoever was selling it. And then we have a whole bunch of pop figures. There's a Yoda, a baby Yoda back there, which is pretty cool. Thought Captain America, that one's a nice figure with the Mjolnir. 10th Doctor, 13th Doctor, and Gollum. Then we come on to this shelf. Now, you've seen this shelf many times, so I don't really need to talk about this for too long. But this is my Steelbook Shelf. And, slowly we'll just become full of Steelbooks. But at the minute, it's full of a few things. There's an order to it, I swear. So at the top here, we have 2 Peter Cushing movies. They're on the Steelbooks. I felt like they weren't right to go within this shelf, and I was running out of room, so I didn't put them in. Then we go down here to the classic DVDs. I've only got a few of these now. Some of them I've moved into different locations because as the collection boxes have come out, I just haven't needed them. And for the space, I've just put them upstairs in the loft, or I guess hidden them behind that shelf over there. But this is what I have left. The 10th planet, the moon base, the Tomb of the Cybermen, the Time Warrior, Planet of the Spiders, Pyramids of Mars, Invasion of Time, Ark of Infinity, Resurrection of the Daleks, Remembrance of the Daleks. So they're the only ones that I have now. I also have, or had, Earthshock, the Sontaran Experiment, the New Beginnings box set with the Keeper of Traken, Legopolis, and Castrovalva, to name a few. The TV movie then, with the Blu-ray version there. Then we go into the Steelbooks, Power of the Daleks, Macra Terror, Faceless Ones, Evil of the Daleks, most recent, Web of Fear, Fury of the Deep, Spearhead from Space, Sharda, which I'm very excited about getting a collection box set release in December, because that means that, well, for me, the biggest issue I have with Sharda is the fact that the story is too long, because they haven't put it into parts. I was really surprised that it was down as like a 2.5 hour movie, because I really enjoyed Sharda, but now I don't have to watch it all in one sitting, or pause it and faff around with all that. I can actually watch it how it was designed, how it was written, which is brilliant. I just think is a great way to watch it. So I'm really looking forward to that, and obviously they'll give it the collection box set treatment. They'll make some documentaries for it and stuff like that. So that would be very exciting. We haven't got too long to wait for that. Then we have series 1, 2, 3, 4, specials 5, 6, 7, 50th, 8, 10, 11, and 12. I dipped at the end at 8 because of the series 9 Steelbook. It's a shame. It really is a shame that I still can't get it, but I doubt I'll ever be able to. At some point, I do need to buy series 9 on Blu-ray, because the chances of me getting it are very, very slim. Then we have the collection box set thing for the 50th anniversary. Now this is a cool item. See here, it's got the 11th Doctor on, but it's like 4 discs, and it's got everything that the Steelbook had, or has, but it was released in the moment, and it was released in 2013. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't have it because I knew that the Steelbook, I didn't know at the time that the Steelbook was coming out, so I bought it in order to fill that gap, I guess. But then the Steelbook came out, and it sort of ticked all those boxes that meant that this set was really kind of pointless. Then we go on to Last Christmas, Series 9, as I've said, need to buy a Blu-ray for that, but this is, as DVDs go, it's a pretty cool design. I know the shelf's too big, it won't let me fit DVDs in it anymore. Then we round off the shelf with The Husbands of River Song, because I don't think it was released at all on the Steelbooks. Twice Upon a Time, which I like to get the 4K version for, and then Revolution of the Daleks at the end, most recent edition, until Series 13. Then we come on to the next shelf, and we have the discs for the Regeneration box set, basically, because I put them in there in order to protect them, because there was a lot of issues with people slipping the discs in and out, and slipping them in and out was grazing them. So if I didn't have them on DVD before, then I put them onto there, basically. Then we have Kingsman, one of my favourite films, so I got that on the Steelbook. That's a lovely little Steelbook that I own that, actually. Then we have The Golden Circle, Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman, Logan, Deadpool, Spider-Verse, Baby Driver, Jurassic World, Hobbits, Lord of the Rings. This is probably one of my dad's favourite purchases that he's ever made with films, because this is actually the Lord of the Rings full trilogy in Blu-ray for a £5. So he was very happy when he bought that. So we have the Cornetto trilogy, 3 brilliantly made films by Edgar Wright, just absolutely brilliantly made. Well written, just hilarious, action-packed, just amazing. Then we go on to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We've gone from something very creative to something that's sort of not. Very much the same sort of film over and over again. I mean, I can tell the differences, but I know to a lot of people they are very much like box standard cinema going films now. But The Avengers is the only one that's got a steelbook from me. Lovely little steelbook. Bit of an underwhelming cover. I can get it out. There, bit of an underwhelming cover, but the spine is really lovely. We have all of the films up to Black Widow, because I haven't got that one on Blu-ray yet. Then we have down at the bottom Red Dwarf. I currently have just 2 box sets, but these 2 box sets are series 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the others 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can't complain. But very good show, Red Dwarf. Just amazing. Some amazing episodes, some duds, but some amazing episodes. And then we have these 2 that have slipped down, annoyingly. They've slipped down and they've fallen and they've landed there. Then we have Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings extended editions. These were my dad's. These were also my dad's. The prequels there. He never got Phantom Menace because he hated it so much. Very bizarre, but I do intend at some point to buy them all on Blu-ray. But we have Solo, Rogue One, the original trilogy there. Brilliant films in the original trilogy. And then the sequel trilogy. Indiana Jones, great films apart from the last one. Crystal Skull, not very good. And then we have Torchwood. Stupidly put Torchwood Series 3 and 4 in the wrong order. Series 1 and 2, solid. I think they're a bit overrated, but pretty solid. Some good episodes that I can enjoy. Series 3, Children of Earth, very good. And I did enjoy Miracle Day. I know a lot of people don't, but I did like it. Class, I liked Class, I really did. I thought that they were really trying, and there's some really interesting episodes like Detained, when they're stuck in detention. That was a well-written story, but I think that there was just not enough people to watch it. The awkward time, they didn't give it fair game neither. The marketing was terrible. The fact that they would put it on, but they put it on at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and they're like, no one's watching this show. Yeah, because you've put it on at a stupid time, hardly advertised that you put it on BBC iPlayer. You're not going to get people to watch a show that you're not advertising. The Terminator, The Incredibles 2, Joker, and then the Lego Movie ends off that shelf. Then we come down here, we have my Marvel figure magazines here. I've got quite a few of them now. Must have over 100 of them over the past. Well, I've been getting them since I was in like year 9, so many years. But I stopped buying them now. But we'll get to that as we get to the figures later. Then we have my annuals. I don't have many annuals, to be honest. But I have a few annuals from Doctor Who. I bought most of them from charity shops, if I'm honest. Then we have some sort of encyclopedia book kind of things, facts, I suppose. I can't say they're really my cup of tea, but as a child, I'd get them for Christmas and birthday presents, etc., because I was a big fan of Doctor Who. Then we have the final section of figures here. We have a Jon Snow, a Captain America, just because I didn't know where to put them. But then we have a whole bunch of Daleks from various stories. The new range here with Vervoids, Ian Sensorites, that lovely golden Dalek. There's a Mandalorian behind there as well. My fish food for a fish I'll show you in a minute. And then the autograph from Arthur Darvill there as a Time Mellors event. They seem to have gone a bit quiet on them recently. I'm not quite sure why, but maybe we can get the occasional one in the future. But that's quite a nice signature there. Come down to Groot holding my sonic screwdrivers. My sonic screwdrivers are quite limited, to be honest. Personally, I'd really like to get the 11th Doctor one, as in not like this one, because this was the sort of reissue that they did during Series 8 when Capaldi used this Sonic. But it works fine, but it doesn't flip out, which is annoying. I'd like it to flip out, and I did have one, but I'm afraid it broke because I just didn't treat it very well. I mean, this was over 10 years ago, so I was about 8 or 9. But still, then there's my toothbrush, which is making a special appearance. But then we have my fish tank. Now, it's off at the minute, but it isn't normally off, I swear. You can see there that I have 2 fish at the back there swimming around. I haven't really given them names. I'm not quite sure what to name them, if I'm honest. But I've had them for quite a few months now, so I probably should name them. Then we have a drawer of stuff. Everyone's got a drawer of stuff that they're not quite sure what goes into them. So I was an art student at school, so I had a drawer of art stuff, pencils and protractors and things like that. Then I had a lot of art paper and just cards. I did a lot of colouring in as a child, and because my room is the biggest, just by as it happens, I get like the biggest room in terms of the bedrooms. Stuff like that gets dumped in here. So I've got that. And then at the bottom we have my shelf, which is basically the TARDIS sets, any Lego Doctor Who stuff. There's a TARDIS. Creatures with wiring attached to them so that they light up and stuff like that. All goes in that shelf there just to keep it out of the way, basically. Then we come on to my television. It does help when your dad works with televisions, because he works with televisions, he can... when one gets written off, he can take it home, technically. This one does not have any built-in speakers. Has built-in speakers, but they are broken. So he was able to salvage it, I suppose, and I connected some speakers to it instead, which means I get a lovely TV. Then we have my Xbox, some headphones, my hard drives, a PS4. Then we have my games. We've got Xbox games there. Quite varied, to be honest. I have a bit of like a childish phase, like Lego games then, Lego Marvel Superheroes, Lego Avengers, Spider-Man, very Marvel nerdy. Then we've got some action-packed games, GTA, Battlefield, Assassin's Creed's always very action-packed. My most recent game is The Witcher 3. I was recommended it at work, and that's why I'm playing it currently. Very fun game though, very different from what I normally play. Then we have a shelf which has just boxes in. It just has boxes in it, and it needs something else, doesn't it? But it's just got boxes in for now. Then rounding off this one, this end is the volumes for Doctor Who. So we've got little individual ones, as many people are aware. You used to get little individual volumes for Doctor Who series, but then they stopped doing it. I'm afraid they stopped doing it because I guess no one bought volumes and just bought the box sets. But then behind there you got Series 6, Series 7, Series 11 back there as well. Just stuff that wouldn't fit in the shelf over at the other end of the room. But then we have to turn around and flip to the other end. On this side we have posters to begin with. So we have one for Doctor Who, which needs a new one, to be honest, because that poster is a little bit... it doesn't fit. Then we have one for the Umbrella Academy. That's from Series 1. Series 3 is on the way next year, so I probably should get a new poster for that one as well. Then one for Endgame. That's a cool poster. So that will be staying up. Then down here, this is one of my most recent additions. It's actually a turntable for the record player. I've had a bit of a thing for buying records recently, which we'll get to later with Big Finish stuff, but I hope to look after this the best I can because it's a really nice turntable. It works really well. It's got built-in speakers. The collection box sets have now been completed for me. I now have all of them. Series 8, Series 10, Series 12, 14, 18, 19. I was able to get 19 recently. But the funny thing with 19 is that they've decided... So this person... so box set, fine. I mean, they said it's a bit discoloured because it's been in the sun, but that's not really a problem to me. Then, once you open it up, the discs should open this way, should they not? Open that way. They've put them in this way, which means that when you get further to the bottom, it does get a little bit difficult. But it's all right. You can actually take them out. But what they've done is they've glued it in, but then realised that they've glued in. Well, they might not have realised. In fact, they've glued. It's come off as it regularly does, and they have accidentally glued it in the wrong way. But never mind. Then we have just a lovely series of them all sitting there together. I need another shelf. I need to figure out a way to build the shelf onto this plate, onto this inside, so I can fit more of these, because you can fit 2 rows in here. But if I can do that, that would be brilliant. And yeah, I'm just very happy to have them all now. I'm very lucky to have them all, I suppose, as well. Put the standards back. But I'm very happy with them. They look brilliant. And I look forward to watching the ones that I haven't seen yet. Just a couple of Series 18s, a couple of Series 10s. I think maybe like 2 stories from Series 9 now. Series 19. But then we move on to my lamp. Now, as many people know, well, as many people have mentioned to me, it is broken. I was able to tell that when the lid came off for it. Just badly designed, I'm afraid. It's just what happens when you buy cheap stuff, is they come off. So it came off quite quickly, in fact. And then we have my glasses, and covered currently by the cone that was the lampshade is the Deadly Assassin book there, which is something that I am currently reading. I'm reading very slowly, but I am currently reading it, and I really do like the Deadly Assassin. So it's a pretty cool story to read and sort of change it over from story as visual story to book form and imagining it, I suppose. And I like imagining the scenes that I've seen as I read them, and I've read The Time Warrior, and I enjoyed doing that. Then we have my bed, before we switch over to the other side. Then we have my bed that goes in the middle of the room here. It does open out, and underneath I've got comics and Lego and all types of stuff hiding under there. It just keeps it out of the way. So then we come on to this side, and as you can see, I've got a giant green screen. And I've had this for quite a while now, and it just sits on those 2 pegs. It's on a pole. But I have hooks for it. There are 2 hooks that are bright blue over there, and then above me you have 2 more hooks that I use to actually place the thing on, because that is probably the worst lit corner of the room, and that's also where I decided to put the green screen. Then if we actually come towards the desk now, you can see my keyboard, and below that a whole bunch of Lego sorting drawers. There's a whole bunch of colours there: white, black, yellow, green, and I'm just take one of that. You get the idea. It'd be nice one day to maybe sort them by size of piece, but that will require a lot more room. And then we have my monitor just on the top here. This is something I don't use as often as you might think I would. It does look quite cool, and it is quite useful for things like audio editing. When you have 2 screens, you can move over quite nicely, but otherwise it is not very useful. It does work quite well as a stand for your phone though, when you're filming TikToks or whatever, so that's quite useful, I guess. And then below that, I'll just show you, this is my old light. So this was not very fire safe, as you can tell. Jiggles, but it's incredibly bright, but not very safe, and would constantly fall down, so you can hear it in videos quite often, or where the light would change and stuff like that. But now I've ordered and have arrived 2 LED panel lights with reversible covers with different filters, so that they can change colour. I would have, by the time the video comes out, I would have had them for quite a while, but they're fairly recent at this point, and I'm very happy to have them, and I think it definitely lights things a lot better than an old broken light used to. But I don't think that is saying much. Then if we could just go down here, we've got various papers and various bits, as well as every single wire I think you could possibly find in a corner of a room. But once we pan up, we have my clothes, and I have quite a few clothes. They're very much the same colour, aren't they? Lots of reds, lots of greys. But I don't know really what to say about my clothes. To be honest, they're just my clothes. They're just a place to store them. So we'll just move on from it, I guess. And we'll go up to the top shelf, and we'll talk about the stuff that's on here. In that corner used to be a lot of boxes for like figure boxes, B&M boxes, that kind of stuff. There's a Cyberman helmet, so I can get the angle right. A Cyberman helmet, various lights. There's an Airfix kit, a figure, and then right at the end, a nano gauntlet, which you've seen in the back of various videos, which is over there. I do think it's quite funny that this thing looks very metallic in the box image, and then when you look at it in real life, it's very plasticky. It's shiny, but it's quite plasticky. But then if we come down, we'll just move down these areas. We have the Lego section, I suppose. There are things that would not fit under the shelf, various pieces, bubble wrap, and then we come down once more to my Marvel figure collection. Now this used to be a big thing that I used to collect back in 2016 now, and they still make them, I believe. I think that they're ending the run, if they haven't already, and now I just sort of pick the best ones that I really like. The most recent has been Korg, who sits right at the back there, and he's quite a cool figure. But yeah, I just keep the cool figures now in my collection and in my area. The rest of them are up in the loft. There's lots of lovely designs of figures. The Iron Man ones are very cool. There's an Iron Spider at the front there, that's a nice figure. Lots of cool ones like Groot and Thanos. I've got 2 Thanoses in fact. They're all lovely items. I dread to think how much I've spent on them over the past couple of years. But I've stopped of them now. I'm very happy to have them though, and they're nice little talking point for people when they see them. Then we'll move on, we'll go down to this section. So at the back, and what should be at the back there with those Game of Thrones ones as well, if we move them out the way, is just sort of DVDs sections where things that wouldn't quite fit in the shelf or stuff that wouldn't fit into my understanding of how I like to organise my shelf. There's a few X-Men films, Game of Thrones, all covered obviously by Big Finish, but at the back we've got some vinyls. Aha, for example, is the thing at the front. There's all types of stuff there. These are singles, David Bowie and Beatles and stuff like that. There's a few of them, which is quite nice, and most of them were my dad's. They weren't my own. I can't take ownership of them, really. But my own vinyls here have been a very big thing for me this year. We've got Echoes of Extinction, we've got Ravagers, Responds to All Calls. I won't bother getting that one out. But Dalek Universe has been a big thing for me this year and inspired me to buy the vinyls, which have all been absolutely lovely. The designs for them are brilliant, just completely brilliant, and the episodes have not been too bad neither. I just think there's a nice atmosphere when you get to listen to one of them on vinyl. But we've also got The Legacy of Time, Masterful, 10th Doctor Adventures, The 11, Silver Turret, Town Victorious, Ravenous, Stranded, and then The 9th Doctor Volume 1 on CD. Then if we come down, we have The 9th Doctor Volume 2, Dalek Universe, Unit, a bit of Blue Tack, and then Torchwood, then Unit, and then that's my Unit collection so far. By the time that you see this video, I'm sure I'll have more than this, because I have a few coming in the post, I believe. The new Unit box sets being one of them, and I hope that I can fill out the gaps within this series, because it is it's a series that I'm quite invested in now. I bought Cyber Reality, really enjoyed it, so I decided that one day I'd buy the the first 4 box sets, and then I'd buy the second 4 box sets, and I just haven't bought the second 4 yet, or second 3 yet. And then sort of time's gone a bit ahead of me, and I've ended up with the new sets coming out and just haven't had the time to buy a unit. Then we have my shoes. I don't want to go much lower because I've realised that my bin's incredibly full, and I don't want to show you what I've been eating because it's mostly just chocolate bars. But then we have my shoes. Most of them are in the house somewhere at the minute, but they are my shoes. Doing a room tour was a lot harder than I thought it would be. I thought that it would be like film, video, job done. It's not, because my room frantically changes incredibly often, and I'm sure that as soon as I've done this video and uploaded it, it will be then completely out of date. So I probably should do these more often. But as you can tell from filming initially, I've had a few more Steelbook Galaxy 4, but also the complete saga on Blu-ray. I did mention that I wanted to get all of them on Blu-ray one day, and it turned out that within the time frame, which is God knows how long, the best part of a month or so, I've been able to do that, but I suppose it doesn't really matter. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you go like, subscribe if you're new, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.